The weight of light. Have you ever woken up with your hand on your chest, not out of fear, but for confirmation? The heart beating irregularly. Thump, 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 pause, thump. It's not arrhythmia, it's resistance. It's the body refusing to keep pace with a world that, until recently, still made sense. This person, let's call her Lara, didn't choose this. She didn't meditate until enlightenment. She didn't follow any guru. She didn't take an intensive Ascension course. Simply, one day, coffee started tasting like ash. Then red meat made her nauseous, not out of ethical conviction, but because of its density, as if her body knew that certain foods were anchoring her to a ground that was no longer hers. She started drinking water compulsively, not only out of thirst, but as if searching for something more, memory, frequency, a remembrance of a state she couldn't yet name. The doctors ran tests, all normal, stress, anxiety, maybe fibromyalgia. None of them asked, "Do you feel like time has stopped? That the walls seem thinner, as if the world could blur at any moment? That you cry when you see a tree swaying in the wind, not from sadness, but from a familiarity so ancient that it hurts?" She didn't tell them, because she feared two things. First, that she was going crazy. Second, and more frightening, that she wasn't. The city continued as always. Cars honking, people rushing, meetings starting at 9 o'clock sharp. But Lara lived out of sync. While typing reports at work, she would see for an instant, like a glitch on the screen of reality, the same room, but empty. Open windows, orange sky, tables covered with dry leaves, complete silence, and in that instant, a feeling of belonging so intense that upon returning to the present she felt exiled. This isn't a hallucination. It's superposition. They aren't two separate worlds. They are layers that exist simultaneously, like radio stations. The 3D Earth, the world of clocks, debt, urgency. The 5D Earth, the world of flow, connection, the eternal now. And between them, the one that almost no one names, the Earth of in-between, where people walk like sleepwalkers, knowing that something has changed, but without the courage to let go of the illusion that it's still possible to go back. She didn't want to ascend to another dimension. She just wanted to understand. Why, when embracing her own brother, did she feel an invisible barrier, not of affection, but of frequency? He spoke of promotions, mortgages, the news, and the words arrived muffled, as if coming from a closed room. "One night," he said, looking at her as the steam rose from his teacup, "you're distant." "I'm here," she replied. "No, you're there." And he pointed to the empty space beside the table, wherever that is. There was no judgment in his voice, only a profound weariness. The grief of someone who loves someone who no longer inhabits the same plane, even while sitting in front of them. By chance, Lara found a group. A poster in a cafe, New Earth Circle, meetings without judgment, just presence. There, she met Sophia, serene, confident, speaking of completed ascension, light bodies, the illusion of time. "We are already there," she said, hands on her heart. "Just believe." It was a relief. For the first time, Lara didn't need to explain. She just needed to say, "I feel a ringing in my right ear." Sometimes the ground shakes without an earthquake. Symptoms of activation, Sophia confirmed. Your DNA is reconfiguring itself. Lara allowed herself to believe. She performed the rituals. Blessed water, hands over the food, affirmations in the morning. She felt moments of lightness, of connection, of yes, this is it. Until the day Miguel, Sophia's young son, fell down the stairs. His arm broke with a dry crack. He screamed, a human, true scream, full of fear and pain. Sophia knelt down, held his face, and whispered, "Breathe, my love. This is just the physical body. Your body of light is intact." "But it hurts," Miguel sobbed. Nobody moved to call for help. They waited, confident. It was Lara who picked up the cell phone and dialed 192. Then Sophia looked at her without anger, only sadness. "He is in 5D, but the body is still learning." At that moment, Lara understood. Spirituality is not proven in peace, it is proven in pain. And the greatest danger is not doubting the light, but denying the shadow to appear enlightened. That night, lying on the living room floor, the bed seemed to demand too much from a body that could no longer bear rigid forms. She let everything come. The fatigue, the loneliness that was not absence, but presence without resonance. The guilt for no longer vibrating with the laughter of the family. The fear that one day no one would see her anymore, not even herself. And she cried, not from sadness, from recognition. Her body wasn't failing. It was bearing witness. Every pain in the joints, every ringing in the ears, every repulsion to the news were not defects. They were signs of integrity, the organism refusing to sustain a lie, that everything is fine when inside something has already fallen apart and been rebuilt. She didn't need to stabilize in 5D. She just needed to stop fighting against the movement. Days later, she returned to the neurologist, not for more tests, but to talk. Dr. Ito, a calm man, leafed through the medical record and said, "The autonomic nervous system is linked to perception. When the brain begins to process multiple realities, even if only in the subconscious, the body responds with overload. Dizziness, tachycardia, fatigue are not diseases. They are translations. Translations of what? Of a change that the mind has not yet named, but the body has already experienced. For the first time, science and intuition were not at war. They were simply speaking different languages of the same truth." On the weekend, Lara visited her brother. Not to convert, not to explain, just to be. They sat on the porch. He made coffee, the same kind she could no longer stand, but she took a sip, just for the warmth of the cup, for the familiar ritual. "I don't know what's happening to me," she said, looking out at the garden, "but it's not madness. Not weakness either. It's a change of frequency, like a radio tuning to another station." He remained silent. Then, "I don't hear that station. But I see that you do, and that scares me, because I love you, and I don't want to lose you to a world where I can't reach you." "You won't lose me," she said, holding his hand. "I just won't pretend anymore that I hear what you hear. And maybe one day you'll start hearing what I hear, or maybe not. And even so, I'll be here, as long as I can." There was no promise of a dimensional reunion, only the courage to love without demanding that the other change frequency. That night, before going to sleep, she didn't perform any rituals. She didn't declare, "I am light." She didn't bless the water. She sat by the window. She observed the city lights, 3D, dense, noisy, imperfect. And behind them she felt the other layer, soft, silent, pulsating. And between the two, she, neither here nor there. In transition, she accepted the ambiguity. She accepted the pain in her shoulder. She accepted the buzzing, now not as a sign of ascension, but as a memory of a higher frequency, like a distant bell that still echoes within her. It wasn't a defect. It was a calling. She didn't need to arrive. She only needed to listen. Because maybe, just maybe, the fifth dimension isn't a place. Maybe it's this, the courage to fully inhabit the now, even when the now is fragile, contradictory, painful, even when the body is heavy, even when the heart misses a beat, even when the world seems to be unraveling in layers, and yet to breathe, to feel the breeze, to hear the song of a bird that is neither in 3D nor 5D, it is here, now, and it is real. And in this radical presence, without renaming the pain, without denying the doubt, perhaps everything is already there. Perhaps we are already home. Not because we have arrived, but because we have finally stopped running away from what is. The weight of the light is not light. It is true. And only the truth can sustain us when the ground finally disappears.